And there we go. Let's get that one working. I'll actually go live on Instagram before I go live on TikTok. How's that sound? I just pull up the Instagram one. Or the Instagram one could just be complete garbage. There we go. Okay, it would be so nice if it was so much easier to go live on Instagram than it is currently. Just saying. As someone who has been a streamer in the past and is currently a streamer, again, the method in which going live, you have to go live on Instagram, is atrocious. Like in every sense of the word. Yay, YouTube's working as well, and it should be public. Who knows if it actually is? Welcome to the part of stream that TikTok doesn't see where I get upset about just the fact that live streaming is the way it is. Okay, every single time I have to move this thing back into position. But that should be good. Everything should be working properly. I say, and I should knock on wood, but there is no wood right there. There we go. Okay, there's a major update. Let's have that go. See if that works. And now let's bring this screen up here. Okay, that update needs a reboot. So let's have that go. Let's see if that works. Everything should work. Here's hoping. Good afternoon, everybody. I am woefully uncaffeinated to the level that I need to be. So, caffeine of choice right now. It's like probably that much left. Also, there's a red line on my screen because I selected something before live stream. There we go. Okay. Now let's pull this up. Restore session. There we go. How many languages do I speak? One. I used to speak three, but not very well. Um, I've learned, like, I speak English. That's my primary language, but I learned some Spanish and I learned Mandarin. Can't speak either of them, like, at all anymore. If someone bends CPU pins, what do I do to fix it? So if it's like a CPU that has the pins on the CPU, usually I will very carefully take something thin like a credit card and run it in between the pins to start getting them all straight again. Um Sometimes if like it's really bent, then I will use tools to try to pry it back into place. But yeah, someone complaining about Ubuntu. It is the one that was recommended by the software I am running and had been tested by the makers of the software that I am using as the most compatible. Should I go with a different operating system that is less tested and less compatible just because Ubuntu has issues? Yes, Marauder is firmware you flash onto the ESP32. It's not software. Are we going to go back to this dumbass argument where people kept telling me it was software? And I kept saying, no, it is not software. You literally just said it was firmware. You do realize software and firmware are two different things, right? As a technician, what has been the hardest thing to fix? DC jacks on gaming laptops. Like when you have to solder them are always a nightmare. What happens if you have integrated graphics and you get a GPU? Instead of using the integrated graphics, your GPU will take over. Usually, most of the time, it disables the integrated graphics, but it's all kind of dependent on the motherboard and the CPU and also the BIOS. I ignored you. I don't even see another message from you. The first message that you have in my chat is saying you ignored me. On another live, dude, you realize how many messages come through on a live, and I'm also doing other things. So I don't see every single message that comes through. Also, there's literally a thing on the screen on how to get priority, so I will see your message guaranteed. But let me guess, you're one of the people who was asking, should I get this part or what parts under $500 should I get? Because I don't answer those questions. Am I going to DEF CON this year? No, I'm not. I am not planning on going any like conferences until I have like my finances figured out. Since I'm closing my business, I have to figure out all of that stuff. And yeah. What is the difference between Parrot OS and Kali Linux? Mostly aesthetics and just layout. Like both of them usually have the same tools built in, have the same capabilities. It's more of just having different options for what you want. Have I used the Wi-Fi Pineapple pager yet? I have not. How's it going over on YouTube? Type in BitLocker in the search bar. Why? How can you find your BitLocker key so you can update your BIOS? I mean, the easiest thing is if you haven't updated it yet, you can turn off BitLocker on your drive so you don't have to worry about it. If you need the BitLocker key, that means it's already encrypted. Yes. So to get your BitLocker, like to see your BitLocker stuff, you literally just you type in the easiest way I always find to get to it on Windows 11 is type in encryption and it'll bring up device security and it'll show like data encryption. Then manage BitLocker drives. See how it is off on all of my drives? That is so I can do some tech things. So literally, just go to device security and settings or look up encryption from the start menu and it'll bring you to this page. Then you just manage BitLocker drive encryption. Whichever one is your main drive and it has BitLocker on, just select that one and turn BitLocker off. It takes a while, and you should not really be using your computer while it's doing it. But yeah, that will disable BitLocker on that drive. Encryption is very handy because without that encryption, you can get into the Windows computer, like, if you have access to the device. There's not really much preventing you from gaining access to the computer at that point. Even if you have a password on your computer, I can still get to all the files if you don't have BitLocker encryption on. It's fairly easy. What site would I recommend for a cheap Windows 11 key? I recommend getting it through the Microsoft Store. Because usually, if you go to a site that gives you a very cheap key, they are usually money laundering in some way. And before someone goes, well, I've used the cheap sites and my card's never been stolen, that's not what I'm talking about when I'm saying they're money laundering. You are the method that they are laundering the stolen money through. Where am I from? The US. Do I have good info about emulator? Like emulator devices? That I love some. There's some very decent emulator devices out there. I want to say my favorite company, isn't it Amarek? Let me grab mine. Ambernick. This thing. I love this thing. I have like so many of my games on here. Hello over on YouTube. Best way to make a home NAS. So usually the thing I recommend is getting an old desktop from like an office surplus, because usually if you get a decent size old desktop, you'll have multiple SATA connections or at least multiple PCI lanes to have expansion cards so you can have more SATA connections. That way you can have multiple drives and then set up TrueNAS. That's usually the best route to go. I've done it repeatedly. At this point, I now have actual servers that I do it on instead of like office desktops, but still. Can you run a server without an SSD or hard disk drive? I mean, you have to have some sort of storage for it to run an OS from. You can do it from USB or other types of storage, but usually you want an SSD or hard disk drive in your server so that it is a persistent storage on there. You don't want to have to set it up every single time you turn it on or have to try to have a live USB working properly. That can be a pain in the butt. Yeah, it locked me out again. Raspberry Pi should suffice as a NAS, right? I mean, it can. It just doesn't have most of the prerequisites I would say for a NAS. Like what I would look for in one. I want to be able to connect multiple drives so I can run those drives in a RAID. And Raspberry Pi has very limited options for that. And getting a hat for one of these so you can have like SATA drives or something like that is a little bit more costly. Where if you just get like an old desktop, you're pretty much saving money because you're getting a more powerful system that can hold more drives. It's just a larger form factor. Usually, I don't do RAID 10. I usually recommend RAID 6. Talk about what I do with the Flipper Zero. It's mainly educational purposes. The Flipper Zero to me is an educational tool. Hey, thank you so much for the roses over on TikTok. A bunch of IT are furries. My thoughts. Um, I can't really say that the Venn diagram is a circle, but the part that doesn't overlap is very, very small. even for if you're trying to do speed and redundancy on hard disk drives, I would still go with RAID 6 because you still get more speed out of it than you do out of a normal drive, and you get better redundancy that is easier for you to actually recover from without wasting a lot of space. Do, do, do. Any thoughts on what platform is best to post my sysadmin resume? I do not know. I'm currently looking for a job, so I don't exactly have tips on finding a job. If I did, I would have a new job by now. Doesn't double parity boost read and not write? I don't see why it wouldn't also boost write speeds. Like, you can have issues with your controller not being able to read as quickly, but yeah. Currently, I'm mainly looking, like, I'm not looking for a specific role, I'm looking for part time. Someone's asking their computer is saying that they have a hardware error. Um, does it say, is your computer able to run? I would call out your name, but you don't have a name on here. It shows. Sulian, I think, is your username. If I pull up your actual thing. Um, are you able to use your computer in any way? Is it able to be on for short periods of time at all? Because if so, there's a piece of software I recommend running to see if it can track down what hardware issues you're having. What tech topic do I struggle with the most to learn? Back-end networking stuff is usually my shortcoming. And I don't know if it's more that it's harder for me to learn it or if it's just I haven't. Could be either or. What is Moore's law? Moore's law is trying to remember the specifics because it's very specific in the original actual Moore's law and it's less specific in what most people say. I want to say it's every 2 years we see a doubling of technology power, like performance capabilities in the same form factor. So like every 2 years for a long while. It's not that way anymore, but for a long while, every 2 years, your CPU would be twice as fast as it was 2 years ago in the same exact form factor. Yeah. Your friend has something called an easy to boot Windows ISO, and it doesn't need a key at all. So easy to boot is just the software that is on a USB drive, so it can load up like anything. Like you can select Windows, Linux, things like that. You just have to put them on there. And then the Windows installer he has on there, or they have on there, most likely has a script also with it that just bypasses requesting a key. Or it can also do other things where it just ignores keys completely. There's a few different ways to do that. I don't recommend it because it can cause other issues. Like I always recommend if you can get a license key for Windows, get a license key. If you can't get a license key, run it without a license key. There's not really a detriment, except for on your desktop, it's saying Windows could not be activated. Until you can get a license key, just run it without one. Don't try to like bypass it. You plugged RAM into your motherboard, and it made more of a scrunch sound instead of a click. That's not a good thing, usually. Like most of the time, it should just make Like there are motherboards where when you put it in, the pins are like closer. Like so, here's the pins in the slot. Let me move my hand over here. Here's the pins in the slot, and then the RAM goes in. Sometimes those pins are closer, so you actually hear them moving out of the way, but you should still hear a click. How many times have I dealt with Dell support? I've had to deal with Dell support quite frequently. Um, I've never had to deal with Razer support. I've only had a few Razer products, and I liked them, but I'm never buying another Razer product because their really, really bad ad campaign that was really misogynistic. I'm just like, okay, I'm done. You have a Proxmox server that has a 1 gig LAN connection, but is getting 354 megabit per second on a speed test. Have you plugged in another system that has a gigabit uh network connection, like a NIC, to that and tested it on there, like a laptop or something like that, that you can do a gig test on? Because like my first thought is it's not usually going to be the server or the NIC in the server. It's usually going to be like the switch it's connected to or the cable that you're running. There could be something wrong with the cable. Oh, when you have it plugged into something else, you're getting 978 on it. You I'm trying to think of what settings it would be in Proxmox. I would pull up my server right now, but my servers are off, so I don't boil to death. Um, because there are some finicky network settings in the switch settings for Proxmox. Because when it comes into Proxmox, I think by default it is coming into a virtual switch that acts as a managed switch. You might want to look in there and see if there's any weird settings in there. Yeah, that's making me think that there's some weird switch setting in Proxmox right now that is causing issues. You just got a Ugreen NAS and are so mad. Honestly, I wish I had a Ugreen NAS to test out and like see how I recommend it and what I recommend on it. I have a very old Synology NAS at this point. I think my Synology NAS is like 15 years old. Is it? No, it's like 10 years old. Well, usually if it's a network card that is going out or failing, it's not going to slow down the speed. It's going to have intermittent connection or just fail altogether. Most NICs that I run into, like they don't like slow down as they're failing. They just crap out or they have a lot of failure rate. And that's not going to cause it to look like slow speed. That's going to report as not able to run the test properly. Yeah, everything I've seen of the Ugreen NAS is it is the most beginner friendly I have ever seen, and that's one of the reasons I want it is because it's a good entry level NAS, and I feel like people should use it more. Oh yeah, trying to find like I have that same issue. So they're talking about how to get like their TV app to work with their Ugreen NAS. They had to find out what the Docker port was for Jellyfin and like have to go through a few hoops for that. Had the same exact thing with my Synology NAS when I was doing some security work setup, like security cameras and things like that. Trying to make all of that work was a pain in the butt. Give me just a second to let my cat out really quick, guys. Okay. Hey, my school installed MDM software on your iPad. It's currently locked. I would not be able to help with that at all. Like, that is something where it would require going through your IT department. And your IT department isn't responding because it's Sunday. Your IT department is most likely closed right now or has like one person on weekends. Do I repair electronic boards? Yeah. I've repaired a lot of circuit boards. Wait, Ugreen even has decent documentation for? Oh, that makes me so happy. Ugreen, like, I've liked Ugreen stuff. It's very user friendly and entry level. It makes me happy. Yeah, no, usually the Sunday skeleton crew will say, yeah, that's Monday's problem. um, Someone works as a sysadmin at an MSP. One second. Oh, sorry. Someone over on Instagram says, I work as a sysadmin in an MSP and I'm young, looking to learn programming through hands on learning. Any books or projects? Ooh, my brain is not reading that properly. Any books or projects do I recommend to get started? So, the thing I usually recommend, especially if you're working IT, try automating stuff. Like straight up, just try automating stuff using batch scripts, PowerShell scripts, and then as you start learning those, go through and start doing it with Python. Like that is usually my route that I recommend IT people get into programming because it's a very decent route where you're doing something that you're working hands on with that you actually understand. Like building up those skills can be hard, but if you have something tangible like automating some processes that you're doing, so nice. Like the one that I always recommend people start with is easy printer fix, where you just run a script on a computer and it clears out the queue. You have to make sure it's disabling the printer, um, print manager, then you clear out the queue, then it restarts the print manager. Super easy, but you can make it more complicated and you can add other things onto that. It's usually the first one I set up in any automation system for like any remote access tools that I'm using for IT. Yeah, no, like automating stuff through Python is one of the best ways to learn programming if you're working IT. Like every different field has a different way that they can get into programming and learn programming. But for IT, it's fairly simple. We need automation more than anything else. Ooh, sorting files. That was one of the first programs I ever really made was like it was designed to clear off my desktop. Like it would see what files I hadn't been using in a long time, and like I tried to get myself to not save stuff onto the desktop, to save it into a documents folder or into a specific folder. So I wanted it to put things that I didn't use in the recycle bin. One of the problems is the way I had it registering if I had used it, like if I had used a file, was if I had manually opened it. If it was opening as a service at the beginning of the computer running, that didn't count. And I had to keep the file on the desktop, like the program that did it, so it was easier, just like in the root directory you are in, do this stuff. Eventually, I noticed my desktop getting cluttered up, and I'm like, oh, where'd my automation program go? It was in the recycle bin because I hadn't actually opened it. It was just opening as an automated thing at the beginning of Windows, and it wasn't counting as me running it. Because the what is it called in Windows? The executor name, like the user who executed it was system, not my name, and so it didn't track it properly. Why Ubuntu and not Debian? Because the software that I am using has a list of operating systems that it has confirmed works properly with this software. And the number one that they tested was Ubuntu. Debian is another option that they have, but the main one that they tested with is Ubuntu. And what they originally, like the program that they originally made, that I was originally testing, they also tested in Ubuntu. And so I'm just using what they recommend. And I'm trying to use it across the board for all three systems. Well, now two systems, because one of them is being depreciated for this one. I don't like the documentation for it though. It's been pretty trash. Also, I prefer using Ubuntu on most of my systems because that's just the default that I picked for years and years. Anyone who ever asked me, do I recommend another device over the Flipper? No, I recommend the Flipper if you're going to get a device like that because the Flipper has more documentation. Plain and simple. Flipper has more documentation, so it's going to be easier to learn, and if you run into trouble, you have easier ways to use it. Okay, I am so glad you moved over to YouTube from Instagram after asking that question. I'm hoping you also heard my response to your question because I did respond to your question and I want to make sure you got it. And I noticed that the view count went to 0 on my Instagram live, which it's normally at. I just have it open just to see. Um but yeah, I wanted to make sure you got the answer to that question. Do I read comments on TikTok? Yes. I just prioritize comments on other platforms. Yeah, it doesn't matter if Flipper clones are cheaper than the Flipper because they don't have documentation. So if you're trying to learn a device, you're going to struggle more with the device that does not have documentation. Sometimes the price you're paying is for a device that has documentation or support. Why no AI? Because I'm tired of AI bros. Like, I'm completely exhausted with AI bros. I do not know if the flipper is illegal in your country. That's something you're going to have to look up through Google and like through the laws of your country. I only look up where it is legal and illegal to use when I am taking it with me anywhere. What firmware is on my flipper? I use the default firmware just because it's easier to go through documentation and like help people with issues because usually they're on the default firmware. Momentum is the one that I prefer. At least last time I went through them, which was like a year and a half ago, probably, possibly 2 years ago at this point. Can't really remember. Do I kiss dudes? Yeah. You got a problem with that? There's a lot of hot dudes out there. Do I like Lady Gaga? Yeah, a little bit. Maddie over on Twitch. Who doesn't kiss dudes? Hey, congratulations, it's your birthday. You're muted for the entire live for spamming. What have I done for shits and giggles with the Flipper Zero? I mean, I think my favorite thing I've done on the Flipper Zero is it has like almost all of my remote controls for like my projectors, my camera, like anything that has an IR port. Um, oh, I haven't done my AC unit yet because I have an AC unit like sitting right over there. Um, but like anything that has an IR like remote, I have tried to get all of the things on here. Wow, YouTube chat's actually popping off. I am glad you guys have switched over. YouTube is the one that I'm trying to prioritize. And if you guys don't know why, it's because I would like to get paid for posting things on YouTube, and that's a hard thing to get to. Like, let's see what I'm at right now. I'm probably doing better than I normally do. Yeah. Like, it's still a very, like, that's the progress bar. It's still a very long way off, but as I push YouTube more and more, I'm also trying to get to 10K on YouTube and Instagram, so what do I share on YouTube? The same stuff I share here, but once I get to a certain point where I can actually make money on YouTube, I'm going to be sharing more long form videos. It's just I have to prioritize what actually makes me money, especially right now. Ooh, your CompTIA Minecraft series is officially underway? Yes. You had auto install updates on your MacBook? Ooh. I have mine set to only install like at night when it's like not doing anything. Ugh. How to gain access to Billboard? Ladder. What is my favorite game of all time? Halo Reach. Oh, okay. Yeah, if you have ADHD, so you forget to actually hit the reboot to install updates for weeks on end, that makes sense. I like so for my desktop, I turn it off every night, especially now during summer. I don't want it kicking out more heat. Um, and then with my laptops, like once a week, I will just reboot them. Like I'll be working, and I'm like, this is acting a tiny bit slower than I want. How do I get my laptop to not snag on the coming back part of a restart? What do you mean? Like when you restart your computer, it like doesn't restart fully? If it's Windows, that sounds like it might be missing or have a corrupted file. That's usually what's going to cause something like that. Okay, I don't think you have an excuse if it is your desktop. Like if you're using a MacBook as your desktop and you don't restart it enough for it to install updates, I feel like that's on you a little bit. Oh yeah, no, I have had those clients who are just like, "Yeah, my computer is super slow. I need you to do something to make it work faster." And I look at the uptime and it's like 263 days. I'm like, "Really? We're doing this?" Do Macs need to restart to update still? Yes, if it's a major update, not all updates need to restart, but even some of the ones that don't need to restart will still have you restart just because it's easier to restart the entire system than to update it without a restart. Okay, let's see. Okay, I will restart and shut down the keyboard lights stay on, the screen goes off, but it won't kick back on. So that makes it sound like there's something wrong with the actual restart process. Like there's a file on Windows that pretty much tells it how to restart. I can't remember if it's a regedit file or actual like DLL file at this point. I haven't kept up with that granularness of Windows anymore. Um, but it sounds like that file is actually corrupted. Usually, if something like that is corrupted, I usually recommend a Windows reinstall. Um, like backing up all your files and going to the reset menu and doing a cloud install. That's usually what I recommend at that point. Cool Flipper Zero uses. You just got one. I mean, my favorite one is NFC stuff. Like, I love tinkering with NFC. And if you have like a Flipper Zero and then a phone that can like read NFC stuff or even edit NFC stuff, you're golden. You can like either just do fun stuff with the NFC on here with your phone or do what I did. I have stickers all over the place that have NFC commands or files or just random things that are just little like buttons that are like yay big that I just put on things. I have some on my I used to have one on my wallet, but I took that one off because I have a card that I can tap that is NFC. Um but like I have them on my business cards. So like if I meet someone who I give my business card to, they can tap it to their phone and it takes them straight to my business side of the website. Yeah, even if it's yeah, the fact that it's freezing during the restarting process, that makes me think that something is corrupted. It could be that it's not even the restart like process that's corrupted, but something that has to shut down during the restart process is corrupted. Um, as a beginner in electronics, is it better to learn everything at once while working on a project, like PCB design, programming, and so on? Or is it better to master one area at a time before learning the next? The one I recommend is trying to at least somewhat master one area at a time as you're going through it. Because, like, if you can master, like, understanding circuit boards, then it becomes a lot easier for you to design them, and if you get good at designing them, then it is easier for you to build them because you're working off of a good design. So, like, if you are mastering each one and going down the list, then it gets easier. Um, but like, there's always going to be a point when you're just like, okay, I think I've learned as much as I can right now in this field, in this part of the field, without adding on this part. Like, you'll always hit those type of points. What is my job, bro, or my speciality? I run a computer repair business currently. I'm currently trying to close down my computer repair business and go back into just working IT on its own. What is my favorite build? Honestly, the ones that I can just scrap to get. No, actually, I know what my favorite build is. My favorite build is my data recovery system. Um, I have a data recovery system that can read all the way back to like old actual floppies, the big old ones. Um, like I love that build so much. I even have like zip disks, jazz disk readers. I have a couple of tape drives. Um, has floppy disks. It has a Blu-ray drive. Like it just has like any data that I need to digitize. I can just boot that thing up into a version of Linux and use it. Any advice for getting one or more items in a file name can't be changed because they are in use? Um, I'm trying to remember. You're the one with the Ugreen NAS, right? Ugreen should have someplace in their menu where you can see what files are open by a user, and you can usually remotely close them. You build software to tweak Windows 10 and 11 and debloat them and optimize the processes. What is my opinion? I mean, there's a debloater that I use. I use Chris Titus's. I don't use it mostly on my computers. I use it mostly on computers that like they need debloating. Like someone asked me to debloat them. I usually will use that. Why no AI? Very Reddit of you. No, I'm just tired of AI bros. Like AI bros are constantly exhausting, and I used to literally debate people about AI, and I realized very quickly AI bros just suck. We got a very long comment over on Twitch. Working in the game development industry is a must-have degree in field like computer since computer engineering and computer programming, IT. Love to work in gaming industry in big studios. I don't know if the degree is a must or not. Most most fields the degree is not a must, but you need to find some way to prove that you can do it. Like genuinely, you need to have a way that you can prove you can work with like programming, design, things like that. And usually a degree is the easiest way to prove that. Do I think it's worth it to have a home lab just for like a casual gamer? I mean, the thing I'm setting up right now, this is a game server host. Like that's what this thing's going to be. It's going to be a host for game servers. Gonna be awesome. Like I've done it before, and hosting your own game servers on your own home lab is amazing. Yeah, if you're starting out, if you're going into an IT or computer industry, you should try to get certifications that you see companies requiring. I always recommend look at the jobs you want and look what certifications they require. I'm gonna be right back. My phone has gone off quite a few times, and I need to go take care of some things. I need to find out why it's going off so much. Sorry about that. Got like so my phone went off like 4 times, but my computer showed 15 more notifications pop up. I'm like, what's going on? Okay, let's see. And there it just went off again. Do I know why you can't run Cyberpunk on your GT 730? Because it doesn't meet the system requirements to run Cyberpunk. Let's see. Minimum requirements for Cyberpunk. Minimum is GeForce GTX 1060. Search. And we're going to look at the GT 730. Wow, if I can type. Yeah, so we're going to compare that one to this one. And now we have two GPUs in the compare. And now I'll bring it up to the main screen. So, on the left, we have the card you have. On the right, we have the minimum requirements for Cyberpunk 2077. So if we go down here and we look at the G3D rated, notice how the numbers don't quite meet up. And then if we look at like these numbers and these numbers on the left are way lower than the numbers on the right. That is why you can't run Cyberpunk 2077 on a GT 730. All of this courtesy of GPU Benchmark. Let's see here. What other questions do I got? Or am I setting up a server right now? Also, I'm going to let my cat in. Feel free to ask questions while I let my cat in. Okay, the fat cat I thought wanted in was not at the door, so. Oh, wait, that camera's not on. Let me turn that camera on. Kitty! Hey, what are you doing? Look up here. Look up here. There we go. There's a cute cat face for the video. Yeah. You being held not like you want to. There you go. You are in tree pose. That was my cat Sushi. And now she's super excited that she just got held, and so she's kneeling on the chair. Okay, so on this server, I'm going to delete this. I'm going to get a terminal up and going. Um, 1969. Clear. And I will get a file folder up and running. Now we are going to set this up so that it can actually do the. So I realized going over some of the documentation for this, it is using Docker for its virtualization. Yay! Docker. Okay, let's get that set up. Also, why is this window not taking up the full half of that screen? Okay, we're going to do a new node. 127. We are not going to be using HTTPS just because it'll be a lot easier if I don't. I really like how well this thing is able to cool even without the. Oh, I have to do the. Okay. It requires me to use HTTPS or HTTP // that? No. Okay. Apparently, it was just alerting me to nothing. Why am I not happy about Docker? Just because Docker is a pain in the butt sometimes. Like, it's useful, but it is not like. I prefer other solutions, but Docker is the one that kind of like won out. It's kind of like when HD DVDs and Blu-rays came out. HD DVDs were actually better quality, but Blu-rays were the one that won out. Like, oh yeah, I have to manually paste like that. Nope, that is not what it should have copied. Okay, so some things are not ready to go yet. Okay, so we need to go put this in etc / pelican. Okay, where's like the full. Okay. So I thought I had a Pelican folder in here, but I guess I do not. Okay, we are going to. Okay, how do I do it? Um. Oh my gosh, the amount of people. So this is one of the reasons I actually Linux is annoying to me, is because when you're trying to find a solution, because I can't remember how to elevate files window on Ubuntu. I just did it the other day and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But the amount of times you go and search for that information, and like, it's a thing you can do. There is a feature for you to be able to do it. And the amount of times people in forums are just like, you're not supposed to do it that way. You're supposed to do everything via the terminal. And it's just like, but you know that this feature exists. And this person is asking for this feature. And you're telling them they should do it a different way and the more complicated, annoying way. Yeah. You want a laptop for coding, school, and things like that, and you don't have a high budget. What do I say? Either a MacBook Neo or a decent, like, if your budget is under $800 or like under $1,000, a MacBook Neo. If your budget is around $1,000, then something like a Lenovo or Dell laptop, especially some of their workstations, you can get for a decent price right now. There's a way to do it in the actual. Oh, this is such an old thread. How old was this post? 14 years. Okay, yeah. I need something newer than that. Because it is a feature that came out like within the past 5 years, I want to say. Just do past year. Oh, that's the same one of you don't. Oh, it's admin. Okay. 1969. Okay, now if I go to etc, in here I should be able to make a new folder called Hell. That should be spelled right, hopefully. So help me if I spelled that wrong. Oh, it's supposed to be underscore or lowercase. Okay, now if I do, how do I just make a new file in here? Why is that not an easy option? What am I making? I am working on a game server that is able to, like, host multiple different game servers. It's a virtualized game server. Oh yeah, I know the MacBook Neo just went up $100, but it's still, even at $100 more expensive, it's still one of the, like, best options currently. Is there a way to have an ecosystem with two different OSs on a laptop? I mean, if you want to run them at the same time, then you're going to want to virtualize one of them. I usually recommend, um, in just personal preference, I usually recommend running Windows and virtualizing Ubuntu or whatever other OS you're doing. Um, I know quite a few people are going to say, yeah, but you should virtualize Windows and just run in Ubuntu or a Linux distro because it'll have less overhead. Problem is, there are more issues that you can run into with Linux where you can't get into the system easily. Hence why, yeah, I recommend using Windows because it's a little bit more stable than a lot of times on Linux. No AI? Yeah, I'm tired of AI bros. AI bros have ruined it for everyone, just like NFC bros ruined it for everyone. Did they just straight up get rid of create a blank file? Like, that's kind of annoying. Um, okay, we are going to just want a new one. Because worst case scenario, I'll save this onto the desktop and just move it over. And it's supposed to be named config.yml. We're going to do it on the desktop. And we're going to save. I don't see it on the desktop now. There it is. Now we'll move it over there. Oh, I need to go to, there's a cd command I need to, that one. Oh yeah, I can't do control V for some reason. I need to get rid of that, and I need to come up here, all the way to the beginning, and get rid of this section right here. Let's try the Docker version, because I'm pretty sure Docker is on here right now. Nope. Okay. Apt install Docker. Are we Dockerizing? Sadly, yes. Like, one of the things that's driving me nuts with this install process is half the time the wording is not great in the like documentation, and like I wish they would learn from AMP. AMP is my favorite system for virtualizing game servers, but sadly AMP is not the best option. But straight up, to get AMP up and running, you run one command and it installs everything you need and sets up the file structure and everything for you with one command. And then you load up the web page and then set up all the stuff through there. Like, this is driving me nuts because I have to manually go through and figure out, okay, let's go through this part, this part, this part, this part, this part. Do I often repair things? Yes, I run a computer repair shop. I'm closing a computer repair shop. Yeah, AMP is just not great in like a lot of ways, but the install process and the documentation are miles better than Pelican. And especially because Pelican uses dumb fucking names for things. There's no reason. Yeah, like they even say, oh, here's all the things you'll need to install on your system to get it up and running. I'm like, why don't you guys make a script? Why don't you go, here's the things you'll need to install, here's how to do it manually, here's a script to do it automatically. Oh, hello. I was going to pull my stool over and I was going to sit down, but I can't because there is a cat on my stool. I have a cat. No, you can't get down right now. Hey. Mwah. Mwah. You get the comfy chair. Oh yeah, scripting has become more of a lost art from what I've seen. And a lot of people will straight up use like AI to try to automate some of that stuff, but it doesn't automate it properly or decently. Can I explain the levels of raid to you? Let me have a look at something. I want to say my videos on raid just went up on YouTube recently. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's only like a week old at this point. Um, but literally, if you go to my YouTube, like here's my shorts right here. If you scroll down, I go over raid 0 and raid 5. And like I want to say even in this whole process, I talk about general raid. Um, I want to say it's this one. I go over the basics of raid and then I talk about raid 0 and raid 5 and how they like actually work. Ooh, you're running Kali Net Hunter? Um the thing I always think is one of the coolest things that people tend to sleep on is um bad USB and like rubber ducky script. Ducky script and bad USB stuff is like some of the most powerful stuff that people tend to sleep on because I want to say NetHunter is able to make that device act like a keyboard when you plug it into a computer. So you can run Ducky script and bad USB stuff. Super easy, super fast. That wasn't right. There we go. It buzzed weird when I hit the button. Should you upgrade from your GTX 680 to something else? Probably. You only use RAID 0 when it's classified information that you shouldn't have. Okay. Okay, let's get Docker working on here. I know I could run all of these at the same exact time, but I don't feel like it. I want to make sure nothing goes wrong as it goes through and runs. Okay, Wings is working, which means I should be able to run this. Nine, 6, 9. Hello, can I ask a question? You just did. Um, for a lab, should I host? Should I host? Should I host service wise? Use media consumption, game emulation, web browsing. I am not sure what you're. Sorry, my brain is not reading that right because I can't understand what you're meaning. Um, someone over on TikTok asked, "I have a question for me. They are young and want to start programming. Any tips?" Usually the tip I have is start with Python. Automate things on your computer, make your life a little bit easier, and in the process, you learn a lot. My partner just threatened me. Okay. See if that actually saved it properly. Yep. Save. Okay. I'm actually going to restart the system and see if that worked because I want to see system MD where system D and then system. Okay, we are going to. Oh, I'm going to create a new file. How do I just get like a new file open? Oh, this is annoying. Like some of the decisions that they have made in their OS, like that decision right there. Okay. The fact that I switched over to it's not on top of this window. Why would that window disappear when I open up this window? There's no reason for that. That is ridiculous. We're going to open a new window to the desktop and we're going to get the Wing service and put it right there. I don't think there's any specific things I need to change in it. Then over here, we're going to paste that and enter. Okay, we're going to restart and see if it's working because no AI data centers. Yeah. What OS is CentOS? It is a version of Linux. I can't remember what it's a fork of. Is there any Linux distro I can use to replace Xbox for media consumption? Uh, I mean, there's quite a few different ones. There's different ones that are very media specific. I'm trying to think of what, like, any off the top of my head. Isn't someone correct me if I'm wrong? Isn't it Bazite? Isn't that one that you can do as like a media box type thing? What do I recommend if you start your computer and it goes to the Windows loading screen and freezes? It does not go to repair mode. That could be a few different things. Most commonly, that is going to be you have a hard drive failure. That is the first thing you usually want to check for. So, if you're able to get a bootable copy of Hiren's Boot CD onto a USB, and then like boot off of that USB, so you're running Hiren's Boot CD, and there is a program on Hiren's Boot CD called Crystal Disk that will let you test your drives and find out if there's something majorly wrong with them. Usually, in a situation like this, you want to test with something like Hiren's so that you can find out if the drive is failing. Because if the drive is failing, you don't want to try to like fix Windows or anything like that. You want to get your data off so you don't lose anything. If there's nothing wrong with the like drive, then Windows Repair is also built into Hiren's. There's a few different options for Windows Repair in Hiren's that you can do that usually will work. It's not a guarantee though. I didn't know what operating system CentOS was a fork of, and you're saying that you should be the one answering questions now. Okay. Why don't you make a live stream and go live? Is it a Proxmox setup that someone else set up? For the person that's over on TikTok. Sorry, I didn't describe who I was replying to, but someone on TikTok is dealing with a Proxmox node. And it's sounding like a node that someone else set up if it's having. It sounds like someone set it up weird. What's the name of that repair software again? The repair software that I recommend for people, or the one I just told someone to boot off of? Because the one I just told someone to boot off of is Hiren's Boot CD. The repair software I most commonly recommend to people is PC Doctor Toolbox. Yeah, the one I just mentioned was Hiren's Boot CD. It is one of my favorite tools of all time. It's been around for a long time. I used the Windows XP version for years. Um, It is, in my opinion, a better version of Metacat because Metacat is way too bloated. I thought Bazite was for gaming mostly, but if it accepts Xbox controller, it would be amazing as my mom understands how to use that already. So Bazite is mostly for gaming, but there are other apps you can put on Bazite so that you can do like streaming and things like that. Um, I'm not sure if XBMC is still a thing, but I know people were talking about it on Bazite for a while. So, which, if you don't know what XBMC is, it is Xbox Media Center. It is what Xbox 360 had back in the day, and like it got out into the wild, and people have been using it for years to do like streaming and things like that. Like the amount of people, especially in the past little while, who have just told me time and time again, yeah, you should just be using Metacat for everything. Metacat is such an annoying tool. It is too bloated and like I've tried for any tool that I have used in my shop or in my IT career, I have a spreadsheet showing what features of those tools you can legally use at what different like levels of business you are. And Metacat is like the most annoying one to even create the list of tools because you have multiple different boot options. You have base level options that are just a bit like that are available through the bootloader. You don't have to go into an operating system. And then in each operating system, some of them have the same tools, some of them have different tools. You have to know exactly where you're going to go from the get go to find a tool. And honestly, I would never hand it to a new technician because it's just going to confuse them. What are my thoughts on Rufus? It's a good tool for creating USB boot drives, but I prefer something like Ventoy is a good option. It's a fairly easy to set up option. Easy to boot is another good option. But my favorite one is this thing right here. This is an IODD ST400. All you have to do, literally, this is the entire process to get this up and running. You put an SSD in it, you plug it into your computer, and you put the ISOs onto the drive. That's it. Once you do that, and then you plug this into a computer, you just have this screen light up, and you select which ISO you want to boot. And if you want to have it where you're plugging it into like your computer and setting which thing it'll boot to, and then you want it to keep that to another computer, you just hold down this button right here. You hold down, I think it's number 9. You hold that one down for a little bit and it says saving, please wait, and then it'll tell you to disconnect. Then you can plug it into another computer and that'll be the ISO that it emulates at boot. This thing is one of my favorite tools of all time, and I've been recommending it for years. There is a link for it in my like links list. I want to say, yeah, it's on my tips and links page because so many people have asked me like what tool I use for multi-boot, and it's why if you look on pretty much any of my socials right now, there is a picture showing like what asking what multi-boot features do you need, because I'm trying to do a breakdown of this versus Ventoy versus Easy to Boot versus Yumi versus Metacat, like going down the list and like showing the differences. Because I finally found someone who would tell me how to use Metacat as a multi-boot tool. I didn't realize that was a feature of Metacat because that thing's so damn bloated. Trying to figure out how to use it is a pain in the ass. The SSH nuke program? What the heck? Alpine USB? Is that another option for multi-boot? Oh yeah, Yumi is also an alternative for Rufus. I'll be honest, I prefer Rufus over Yumi. Yumi is actually a fairly decent one if you're starting like working with tools and like building out your own toolkit. because it gives you like a list of what it recommends and what it knows works. So you can build out a tool and know it's going to work and like not have as many headaches as you start testing other things. What was the name of that multi-boot drive? I'll do you one better. It is right here on my website. If you go to thebeardeditguy.com and then you click on tips and links, it is going to be under my recommended products. I don't need this one on there anymore. But yeah. And if you use that link to buy it, it does give me a kickback. Like, that's one of the reasons I say, hey, if you're going to buy this, do it through my link. Because, yeah. There's multiple different options for it. Like, let me actually pull up so I can show you. The one that I do is just the no SSD one because I usually have SSDs kicking around. This used to be the SSD that was in that tool. This was just one of my SSDs I had lying around. Then I put a Western Digital Green in here because this is only 750 gig. I put a 1 terabyte Western Digital Green in here. Like, normally I don't use WD Greens, but considering like what this tool is, I just need an SSD. It doesn't need to be the fastest SSD. It doesn't need to be the like most long-lasting SSD. It just needs to be an SSD. Like, that's it. So having a 1 terabyte one that is fairly crappy, still better than a 750 gig one that is crappier. What are things that you need for a home lab and what can you do with it? So mostly a home lab is for you to test different server things on, like having a file server, having like when I first did my home lab, I had a web server, I had an email server, I had a file server. Like, I went through the list of like what type of self-hosted servers I could do and learned how to set them up so that way I knew them. That way I had that as something that I had done before. So that way it was easier the next time. Even if like the system's completely changed or updated, I still had the knowledge of how the previous versions worked. And so usually you can figure out the new versions quicker. Also, for a home lab, you don't need much. I mean, this is literally a home lab. This is a mini PC right here on my desk. And I'm just setting it up and getting it working so I can test it out. Okay, let's see if this will work now. It might give me an error because it's already somewhat set up. Okay, it's properly configured. Oh yeah. The fact that Command V doesn't work in terminal. Oh, cannot connect to Docker. Docker is not properly running. Okay, I got to figure out why that is not working. What is the name of the multi-boot drive? IODD ST400. The link is in my site, Beacons links. Oh yeah, no, I have. So my home lab is 2 servers. One has JBOD connected to it, and then the other one has a ton more RAM and is usually my virtual host. Have I ever tried MX Linux? I have not. You have a question about laptop repair. Okay. Go ahead and shoot. Oh, wait. It should be on here. Right? Yes. There you guys go. You should have music that you guys are able to hear now. I'm hoping. Let me have a look. Let me know if you all are able to hear the music coming through. Why is it not going through? There's no music coming through. Why not? There we go. TikTok should now be able to hear the background music. See if I can figure out why this one's not able to. I need to add an audio source. Crashes and goes into recovery mode every time it boots up. You checked it and the parts seem to be working well. What hard drive tests have you used? Also, I like how it says no AI on the stream, and someone's just like, "You use Claude, right?" No, of course not. I have enough friends who are programmers to know why AI created like things like that are horrendous and not as useful as people say. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Now, now you guys should be able to hear it via that one. And that one should be able to hear it. Everyone's able to hear quiet music in the background, right? What does my audio pipeline look like? Ready to be scared of the horrendousness? it is playing from my main computer and then outputting through the speakers and HDMI so that it can be picked up by my streaming computer. Then my streaming computer, I have to configure OBS and TikTok to use the 4K capture card that I'm using as an audio input so that I can have you guys able to hear it. It's one of the reasons that I have some things on my wish list. Oh yeah, good old Voicemeeter. Always, especially Voicemeeter Banana. Banana Edition is the one that I use on a lot of different computers because I want to be able to have different outputs. And Voicemeeter Banana lets you do different outputs. So, like, I actually have the music playing through my speakers here, so I can hear it as well. That way I know the music is working. I just gotta remember which one. I think it's this one. Nope. Okay. We have reduced the audio on the music. The main reason I have music is if I have to go BRB again. I don't want you guys just sitting here without like music or anything like that. And I have it set so it's just repeating the same track that I have permission to actually use. Potato's also a good option. Should you buy the Terrormaster F440 425 for your first NAS? Is it good? I've never used Terrormaster before in my life. Also, you guys do realize it literally says on the screen the other places I'm streaming at, right? So, from what it's sounding like, like have you updated the BIOS and have you done a complete clean install of Windows using a brand new Windows installer that you set up? Because honestly, what you're describing, like, without being able to test it in front of me, the most I would be able to say is it sounds like a drive issue. Oh, it could also be a SATA cable issue if any of the drives that you're using as your primary are SATA connected. But aside from that, the only thing I could figure is if it's an M.2 drive and that you're trying to boot to and it is sharing a data line with like the graphics card or something like that, it could cause issue, but that's less likely. Like that is definitely the type of issue that would get brought into my shop, but like I don't know what I could like diagnosing something that finicky is kind of hard over chat. Yeah, Xerox, I'm feeling the same thing. What a very peculiar, mysterious PC. Like, I'm trying to think of any other things that I would recommend. You've heard Voicemeeter doesn't play nice with Windows 11? I mean, the only thing that I've had issues with is um like Chrome in Windows 11 when I'm using Voicemeeter. Because sometimes after the stream when I shut down Voicemeeter, it crashes my audio driver specifically in Chrome. Everywhere else the voice like the audio driver is working, but in Chrome it's crashed. So I usually have to like close down Chrome completely and open it and it works just fine. Am I into media servers? Yeah. Want to talk about private indexers? Oh, I have no clue about that part. Windows 11 hates updating. Then it corrupts everything and constant memory crashes. I have not seen those issues. Is the Arctic Extender a good PC case? I mean, Arctic is one of my favorite companies. Oh, thank you so much for the kitty cats. Then what do I use to get my media? My massive backlog of stuff that I've sailed the high seas for. Oh, that is a pretty case too. I'm really glad more manufacturers are like segmenting off the power supply because I've seen so many times that the power supply gets overheated or doesn't get decent airflow because like it's in with everything else and it's pulling air away from the power supply in a way that doesn't help. Random crashes and hard resets. Honestly, the first thing that I would jump to, like the first thing I would test on that computer, if you're getting random crashes and hard resets, is BIOS update. Because a lot of those type of random issues like that end up being because it's on an old BIOS that like it just had those issues before, you just didn't see them as much. Yeah. Yeah, also the rat's nest with power supplies when it's not segmented out. Um, Also my cat wants them. I also had to go chase my cat because, of course. Um, your laptop was frying itself when you were using Windows, and so you moved over to Linux. Okay. I mean, a lot of people have ditched Windows. I just every time people have given me like reasons, like their main normal reasons, it's always been very dumb stuff, and most of it ends up just being false. Oh yeah, I turned off the music. Um, So the main reason I put the music on was because I was worried I would have to go and BRB again, and I didn't want to leave just a completely dead stream with no, like, nothing. If I have music playing, then it's more likely that people will stick around. And so I just took Voicemeeter and I just cranked the audio all the way down. Yeah, especially as I'm wanting to stream longer and longer, I need to have like solutions to make it so I can stream longer and still exist as a human. Let's see. Why is Twitch chat not on that full chat feed? That's weird. Oh yeah, I definitely need to have some macros so I can automatically like mute the music or things like that. Honestly, the so I'll show you guys the thing that is going to make my life easier once I get it. Um, It is this page. So this is the current goal. Is I am planning on getting the Elgato Wave XLR Pro. Um, like that is my current goal is to get that. So that way, like, let me actually pull it up and show you. Like, can I like see pictures of it? No. Okay, let me just search for it and find it. Oh, where's like the 3D thing so I can see the back of it? Okay, here we go. Being able to have like line in, have XLR ports and things like that mean I can have a better microphone here that is listening to me better via XLR because there are decent stick mics that you can get for not much money. I can plug in via XLR. I can have line in as another component in this. And then because I'm using an Elgato capture card, that means the audio integrates with this from my Elgato into the software for this so I can just manage all of that easily and then use my Stream Deck to just edit the audio how I want it. Like that's my main goal right now. That's why I have things like that on my wish list. Which, by the way, if you guys did not know, this is my wish list. I even have stuff for my floofy baby animals. Oh, I need to take that off of there because it's no longer available. Yeah, but literally, my wish list has like the upgrades that I want to make to my stream, including a 4K overhead camera. So when I'm doing overhead stuff, you guys can see it. Oh, that's also not available anymore. That's annoying. Because I told myself that is the way I get Game Pass now. If someone gives it to me through through my links. Also, I have an automatic thing that shows like if people have donated for that, which should be that button. Yeah, that shows like the progress of that item. Shows a QR code and what item and everything like that. It's really cool. Who do I recommend buying a PC from? I don't know. Because every time there's like a PC manufacturer that I would recommend, there's another investigation coming out showing that they do something crappy. Apparently, iBuyPower has been doing better though. You're getting an HP laptop with a broken touchscreen repaired at a shop. The quote is $250 total. Oh, um, yeah, that sounds about fair for an HP with a touchscreen. What kind of PC do I have? A random one that I pieced together. Both of my desktops are random desktops that I pieced together out of what I had. My beard needs to be longer. No, I do not like it when I have a longer beard because then I have to maintain it more and I can't eat ice cream as easily or soup because this gets too long and it looks weird if I trim this and I don't trim this. Yeah. I like having a short beard like this. I think it looks good on me. Also, my partner agrees. There is a cat on my chair just wanting attention. Oh yeah, I have beard oils, I have beard brushes and beard combs and everything. I haven't trimmed it down to the length that I like, but yeah. Say hello. Say hello. He's Grumbly Kitty. That was very Grumbly Kitty. That is, I am going to eat you. You will be murdered. Look at that cute face. Look at the cute little floof. Oh, does Twitch have a long ad right now? I finally got to the point where I'm affiliate again and I can't exactly fully control the ads. I need to have a thing up here so I can see when an ad break is coming and just use those as quick and easy bio breaks. Um, you don't have enough money for an extra PC for streaming. If you don't have a two PC setup, the thing I usually recommend is use a console because it's the easiest method to have as few things go wrong as possible. It's how I used to stream all the time when I was actively a streamer back in the day. Before like a lot more streaming was possible. Like before the Elgato H60 came out. The H the Elgato H60 was a game changer. It was one of the first uh capture cards that was affordable, worked easily, and had low latency. So like that drastically changed the game. Before that, like me and my crew, we were all rocking brother capture card or not brother, black magic capture cards. And those things were a pain to work with. We had to do some special trickery to get them working properly. If I switch to Linux, can I reuse my Steam games from a server instead of re-downloading them? Some of them, yes. Uh, because especially if they're ones where it's going through Steam's oh, what's it called? Like their translation layer, it should be the same installers and everything. Uh so yeah. But if it's ones that have been actually programmed for Linux, you're gonna have to download them again. Okay, let's see if I can get Docker working on this thing. My partner just sent me an image from a place that they're getting a smoothie from where you can add actual fruit, and one of the options is blue raspberry. How do you add real fruit blue raspberry? See if I can put that in a. Yeah, there we go. I don't want it touching my soundboard. Wait, what? Okay. Yes. Going to. 1969. Oh, yeah. Manually paste. Oh my gosh. No, it's just this. I'm gonna scream. Should you go all in for a really obscure and weird keyboard? Is it one of those ones where you put your fingers in and you just move your fingers like up, down, and then like push to type? Those things are weird. Also, the one where it's like one hand and it's a bunch of different like four-way joysticks, and you can just type one-handed really quickly. They're so weird, but apparently they work so well. Even if I don't get this done on stream today, I am getting this done. Yeah. Okay, that one's done. I don't know why Terminal was freaking out when I pasted the entire list, but it was. It was having an issue. And it just had that issue. Okay, the issue is because of this command right here. I'm going to let that run and see if it does anything. Can a NAS work without a GPU? Yeah, NAS does not need a GPU. But if you are going to have a NAS that is a media server and like you are streaming media from it, usually you want a GPU. It doesn't have to be a top of the line one, like an older GPU will usually work to allow you to have it render the video properly for it to stream it to you. Raptor, haven't you been having an issue with Twitch for like a couple of like multiple months now? What? What do you want? Hey, come here. Hey, come here. Up here. Rawr. Okay, now we are going to teach how to fix a cat. This is a very small form factor cat, as you can see. She's also very loud. So there's probably something going on with the like the air system, like probably a fan or something needs to be replaced. That's where you get a little bit of that grumbly sound. She also clearly needs treats. Yeah. Also, if you didn't know, percussive maintenance with a cat is very important. If you guys did not know, my cats really, really like butt smacks. What am I working on now? I'm still working on the same dang server. Currently, Docker installer is not working properly. And so I'm having to do this one line at a time because it's not letting. Oh, I see what's going on. I see why it wouldn't work properly. Why are people in Linux like so against scripting? Can someone tell me why Linux users are so against scripting? It would be so much easier if it was just a script. Especially because you're on Linux. You could just run a command and it'll grab the script for you and run it. Yeah, the only times I really use Docker is when it's built into something already and it's a feature I can just enable. Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship using Linux. No, like straight up, that's my entire life with Linux. I love Linux to death, but so many times I'm just like, why is this not easier? Like it should honestly be so much easier to do some of these things on Linux. But okay, honestly, I know what part of it is. Part of it is the gatekeeping community. There is a very big issue with gatekeepers being so common on Linux that they will pretty much force you to do things the hard way. Like literally, I can even pull it up on here. Um, what was the search that I just did recently? Nope. Nope. Is it still open all the way over here? Oh, it's probably this same window that I already had. Let's make sure. Oh, the crap? Okay, there we go. Now let's start Docker. Hey, yeah, it's working. Okay. So now let me go back and see if this is actually. Nope, this wasn't. Okay, what were my Google searches recently? Because it was one of my recent Google searches. Um, so the thing I was looking for is in isn't it Nautilus what Ubuntu still uses as a file system? Um, in there you can elevate your like file explorer. And so all you have to do is at the top bar where you can type in where you want to go, you just do admin :/ and it'll ask you for a password 1969 and it elevates the window. So let's see if I can find the one that really frustrated me because it came up multiple times and I can't find it now. Okay, let me just look through history really quick. Here we go. What is the proper way to launch the file manager as root? I just showed you the proper way to do it if you actually want to use the file manager as root. Literally just type in admin : //. What does this Linux user say? You don't. No, seriously. If you're going to do something like that and need moving files with root permission, you should use the move command in terminal. That's the only way you should be doing it. That's the reason it drives me nuts with like Linux users is because they gatekeep things behind, oh, you should only use the terminal. You don't have to. There's literally no reason to require the terminal when there's another option. Because like I have multiple windows open right now. I don't want to constantly just have one terminal. And it's exhausting how much Linux has a lack of multitasking. Like the Linux community itself. They don't like multitasking and they criticize people for trying to multitask. Oh yeah, it also depends on what distro you are on. And I will be honest, as you get into certain distros that people who are compared to the vegan community use, you get more of the gatekeeping type stuff. It's like one of the reasons I don't do stuff with Linux that often as a content creator because the community just sucks. Like even today, as I've been streaming, there have been countless people going, "Why are you using Ubuntu? You should be using a proper Linux distro." And I'm like, I'm using Ubuntu because in the documentation for what I'm doing, Ubuntu is the recommended operating system. It is the one they have tested the most. Yeah, it's just like this constant mentality that just drives me nuts. I don't get why we have to have this mentality. I have the server up and running. I can start to make virtual servers as game servers on this. After going through their stuff for a while, yeah, they need better documentation. They need to script things down easier. But once you get things working, it works. Do I use Ubuntu on my main or just my server? No, on my main computers, I use Windows 11. My servers, depending on what I'm running on them, as my virtual host, I'm using Proxmox. But frequently I'll rely on Ubuntu or Debian. Like after Ubuntu made its changes to start using, someone needs to remind me of the term for it. Their new like app system that sucks. I started moving over to Debian for a lot of stuff. But yeah, like Ubuntu is very nice. It works. Is it snaps? Is that what they call it? Yeah, it's something so dumb. Oh yeah. No, that's also my rule is I will use what I prefer, like my personal preference on things, than what like people will tell me to use in the Linux community. Like at my job, I will use what like my boss or manager tell me to use. But for my own stuff, I'm just like, no, I'd prefer to use what I want to use. If it's going to cause a stumbling block, then that's on me. I have a server up and running. Look at this. Ah, let's see if I can do a test Minecraft. Um, let's just do Bedrock because I can test it across more things. What is that? Okay, someone got high. My cat is over there licking catnip and then making weird noises. I'm like, what? Oh, I don't have any eggs on here yet, do I? Let's import eggs. Uh, games standalone. I want. Is it in here? Oh no, it's under Minecraft. It has its own section. Vanilla Bedrock. Submit. Okay. So now if I do a new server, test Minecraft Bedrock. All of that seems to be correct. Then we can go over to the eggs. Oh, did it not install that egg? Did it just like, yeah, it didn't actually install that egg. Okay. Minecraft bed vanilla bedrock submit. Okay, why is it not installing? I have my node. My node is working. Now I just need it to get eggs. Why is it not downloading? Hmm. Okay, this is going to be fun for me to figure out. I think I might wrap up the live stream so I can hang out with my partner while I work on the rest of this. So, anyone got any final questions before I wrap up? Anything major? Also, thank you guys for watching over on YouTube and Twitch. You guys are phenomenal. Over the next few months, I am going to be redoing my entire streaming setup. And I'm building out an actual streaming area in my other room because I'm closing down my repair shop. So that's going to be nice. Samsung S25 or Samsung S23 Ultra? S25. Like, I would say S25 Ultra, but like you're going between just normal S25 and Ultra. Yeah, my next stream is going to be on Tuesday. So I'm going back to my normal streaming schedule. Reason I haven't been the past week is because my partner was in town and I wanted to give them more attention, especially as we didn't know how long they were going to be staying. So they were my priority. But yeah, if you guys want to help me out in any way, if you want to do the free ways to help me out, go over to my links list, beardeditguy.com. Nope, that's not the right button. That's the right button. Thebeardeditguy.com. You can find this links list right here, where you can find my YouTube, my TikTok, my Instagram, my Twitch, my threads, all of those type of things, including my Substack, where I'm actually posting articles. So if you guys want to like see my reviews on stuff that are actually text-based, that's where I'm starting to post articles to, including this whole process that I'm doing right here. This is for an article, and so is like some of my other stuff, like this thing. I'm going to be doing an article about multi-boot drives. So if you guys are interested in that type of stuff, please go over and have a look. Yeah, if you want to help me out at all, there is my wish list right there. You don't have to buy things for me, but it helps me out a lot. Oh, it says if I go for another like 7 minutes, then I have gone for 300 minutes and I get a reward. Okay. I'll still go for 7 minutes while I talk about this stuff. So like this is my wish list right here. If like one of the things I made sure of, if anyone's just like, hey, I have a spare $5 that I would love to kick your way, all of these things are set, like all of the big expensive items are crowdfundability. So like if you only have a little bit and you want to help me out and you want to make my day, you can go here and like you can help crowdfund my cats having a cat tree that will literally go in that corner. Like right next to this shelf is going to be a cat tree. And if I'm able to find out who donates to it, I will have your names on the cat tree. Yeah, but things like that. If you want to help me upgrade my stream, no obligation. If you want to find out the things I recommend, this is my info base. This is a project I've been working on for a few years now. This is a guide for a lot of different repair things, breakdowns, and things like that. It's that end of things has barely gotten started. This is where I put like tool guides and like how to use things like the ST 400 and a few other tools that I have, like PC Doctor and things like that. I'm going to be putting a PC Doctor Toolbox as a tool guide on here for people to use. And it also has right here a list of all the tools I recommend. Like this is a long list of all the different tools I have used and recommend. Because people have asked me like what I would recommend for people building out a computer repair shop. I gave you an entire list. This is an entire list of all those things. And including like who, like if it would be something that the entire shop has, if it's something that every technician has, if it's something that only advanced technicians would have. Things like that, like depending on what type of place you have. This is literally how I designed my shop. And it works. My shop is technically profitable. I'm just exhausted, burnt out, and I don't want to wait until the RAM crisis is over. So, yeah, there is this entire thing in my links list. I'm going to be updating it as I do things. I just have other priorities right now. I've been waiting to hear back from some people about my repair info base if they're going to use it because it kind of dictates which direction that whole thing's going to go. I also have, if you've ever seen my devices, they are covered in stickers. A lot of the stickers are from my friend. He has made a ton of amazing stickers. If you buy stickers from him, tell him that I sent you. He is phenomenal. I love his stickers. There's so many more that I want that I just don't have, and I need to get more. Yeah, like on my iPhone is literally one of these stickers. I have a non-binary one on my iPhone. So, yeah, if you guys want stickers like what I use, they're there. I also have my merch, like the flock works for the bourgeoisie. I need to order this shirt so I can show it to you guys on live stream. And I also need to order the coffee cup. 19, nope, 1960. Yeah. So that is all of the ways that you guys can help me out. That would be phenomenal. The free way is just following me on everything and like watching my stuff, especially on YouTube. If you're over on YouTube, these live streams are available after the fact. So if there's something you heard about in a live stream and you want to know more, you can pull up the live stream and re-listen to it. Or if you want to ask questions in the comments on live streams, I can also take questions on there and make videos about them. So, yeah, there are a lot of ways for you guys to help. I still have to go for another like 3 minutes, it says on TikTok. So, yeah. Because it says go live for 300 minutes. So, yeah. Yeah, no, like there are so many ways that you guys help me out so much, and the people who have gifted during this live stream, thank you so much. I'm trying to get it so that people can gift over on YouTube because the plan is, FYI, if people want questions answered, priority is going to go to people who pay with the super chat on YouTube once I can do that ability. That is my goal right now because that helps bring in more income, that helps actually make it so it's viable for me to do these live streams. So, yeah. Oh my gosh, I have another 2 minutes. How does it feel like the longest time in the world when I've been streaming for 2.5 hours? Ooh, you got Proxmox and Debian media server worked out. Ooh, I need to do a new media server. Once my servers are back online, that is going to be the next step I do. I also need to go through and I need to clean up a lot of files because I have terabytes of files that I need to go through and delete a bunch because it's like tools that I used in the past that I don't use anymore. Like some of that stuff I want archived, but I don't want it taking up a ton of space. So using very decent compression, I'm going to really condense that size. Oh, I'm glad I could help you out. I'll be honest, one of my favorite things is I will get messages from people that I've helped in the past. And it is one of my favorite things of all time when people do that. So yeah. But I am going to head off. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm going to go work on things, and also my cat is pestering me right now, so I'm gonna go give her attention. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye, everybody.